On to much more serious things now, as Dick Cheney has some sharp criticism over the Iran nuclear deal. The former vice president and his daughter slamming the Obama administration for caving on sanctions. Liz Cheney warning the deal all but guarantees Iran will get a nuclear bomb.
But he also has said, that no nation has the right to tell other nations whether they can have nuclear weapons. And what his agreement really does is ensure that Iran will, in fact, have not just one nuclear weapon, but an entire nuclear arsenal. And the 10-year period assumes they don't cheat. And clearly the historical record is they cheated every single time.
Retired four-star General Jack Keane is chairman for the Institute of the Study of War, and he joins us now. General, good morning. Good to have you with us, as always. So Liz Cheney clearly stating last night with Sean that she believes that they will absolutely get a nuclear weapon, and in short term.
Yeah, I totally agree with the Cheneys here, Martha. The most stunning revelation in this nuclear deal is the thing that they just put their finger on. The entire nuclear infrastructure stays in place, save for some significant reduction of centrifuges and enriched uranium. But in 10 years, they can activate those centrifuges and begin to enrich uranium again with some restrictions. In 15 years, those restrictions are entirely removed, and Iran has a clear pathway to a nuclear weapon. And as the Cheney suggests, they wouldn't stop with one weapon. It would be actually a nuclear arsenal. I mean, that is absolutely extraordinary, that's part of this framework agreement. And the president's thesis is he's blocking Iran from having a weapon when actually he's providing a pathway to that weapon.
Well, he has said he believes that it's exactly the opposite. But a poll of the American people shows that they are in agreement more with the Cheneys, I guess, and with you on this one. Do you think the nuclear deal with Iran is going to make the world safer? And 56% say that they believe that it will make the world less safe. And you also referenced something written by Henry Kissinger that is quite surprising. Tell everybody about that, General.
Well, when you posit the fact that Iran will eventually have a weapon, what choice do Iran's enemies in the region have when that begins to take place? Clearly, they have to protect themselves. Iran is seeking regional domination, and it's had a measure of success in doing it so far. So they will arm themselves. They will at least begin with a nuclear threshold, and eventually a nuclear weapon. What Henry Kissinger has said, Iran having a nuclear weapon is the most dangerous threat to civilization he has seen in his lifetime, to include Nazism and communism, because it will lead to what we're just talking about, nuclear proliferation in the region, very volatile, dynamic region, which would likely lead, in Dr. Kissinger's mind, to the first ever nuclear exchange. Yeah, and that is catastrophic.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that moment. Nobody wants to live to see that moment. And we hope that that is not the direction that we're headed in. We talked to two of the Republican presidential candidates this morning, to Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, and Jeb Bush, the former governor of Florida. They've had a little back and forth. Scott Walker had said that he would tear up the Iran agreement on day one if he were elected president. And Jeb Bush had said that he would take a look at the agreement, that he would discuss it with our allies, and make a plan going forward. Here's what he said this morning, and I want to get your thoughts on the big picture here.
We need to encourage and support our traditional Arab allies that see this threat in a completely different way than President Obama does. And so what I'm saying is, on day one, I'll have a strategy, and that strategy will be to protect us against what could become the most significant threat that exists in the world.
You know, when you look at the original Bush strategy, and you look at Iran, you look at Iraq, you look at the wars that have been fought there, and the whole region is still in so much turmoil at this point. And you wonder, can this genie, can this toothpaste, however you want to put it, be put back in the bottle at this point, General? Big issues.
Yeah. Well, the nuclear deal is just part of it. The reality is we do not have a strategy now dealing with the region. And we certainly have no strategy to counter Iran's desire for regional hegemony. I mean, they directly or have influence over Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, and they clearly are going to move into the rest of the region as well. We have no strategy to counter that. The nuclear thing is part of it, but we desperately need to think of this region comprehensively, and that Iran is clearly our strategic opponent in the region as well as our allies.
Yeah. Well, whoever's the next president's got his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that, or her, as the case may be. General, thank you very much. Good to see you as always.
Good talking to you, Martha.
All right, Eric.